Thursday, July 25, 2019, and this is Globespan 24x7 News. My name is Samuel Suknandan, coming to you live from Georgetown, Guyana. Here are the major headlines for today. President and opposition leader are likely to meet tomorrow. Analyst says political compromise necessary for selection of GCOM chair. PPP maintains that house-to-house registration is illegal. Bars and clubs to be targeted in noise nuisance campaign. And Bulkan says to local organs, don't blame central government for hindering development. And now for the news in detail. President David Granger this morning engaged several representatives of the diplomatic community to inform them on the current political climate in Guyana at the State House. The president told the diplomats that there has been evidently strong resistance by the opposition to the Election Commission's work plan to correct the list of electors by a process of its own choosing. He said in a statement, I quote, there has been resistance by the opposition to adopting the procedure for the selection of the chairman of the Elections Commission by a consensual rather than unilateral process, end quote. He assured them that he will remain engaged in working towards ensuring that the Elections Commission receives the support it requires to conduct credible elections in the shortest possible time. I will not intrude or instruct the Elections Commission to vary from the powers granted to it by the Constitution of Guyana, he added. Notwithstanding this, the president said he accepts that his government is interim government and will continue its routine management of the country. It will address urgent issues that are in the public's interest. Diplomats from the United States, Britain, and the European Union have been calling for the government to adhere to the Caribbean Court of Justice ruling on July 12. Article 1066 of the Constitution states that the President and Cabinet shall resign on the passage of a no-confidence motion. Additionally, Article 1067 states that notwithstanding its defeat in the National Assembly, the government shall remain in office and shall hold an election. With several thousand people already registered in the Guyana Elections Commission's house-to-house registration, the opposition People's Progressive Party still maintains that the process is flawed and illegal, thereby calling on Guyanese not to participate. More details in this report. Speaking during his weekly press conference today, Jagdeo told members of the press that his party has received information that citizens are allegedly being bullied into registering.
Because I've heard cases on the ground where this is happening. I've heard nightmare stories too, that in some areas about underage people being registered, foreign nationals being registered, and I wonder if this is the aim of APNU.
The opposition leader is asking persons who are bullied to notify his office so that they could provide legal representation.
And I want to say to all Guyanese that they should not participate in an illegal activity. Now, I heard that they're threatening to charge people. They cannot charge 50,000 people, 100,000 people. And especially, they can't force you to participate in an act that, as far as we're concerned, is illegal.
Jagdeo said the leadership of the PPP met and decided that they will not support the process since they see it as something that undermines the Constitution of Guyana and the recent CCJ ruling. So far, some 20,000 persons have been registered in the initial days of the house-to-house registration exercise. Jagdeo maintains that the claims and objections period can get new persons registered and remove those who shouldn't be on the voters list. Only recently, Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield claimed that the current voters list could be used to hold a general election. For Globespan 24x7 News, I'm Samuel Suknandan. Meanwhile, discussions between President David Granger and opposition leader Barrick Jagdeo is likely to continue tomorrow on the nominations for the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, GCOM. And Jagdeo hinted this at a press conference earlier today when he told members of the press that he received a call from Director General of the Ministry of Presidency, Joseph Harmon, about a meeting. Harmon had refuted statements made by member of the opposition Chief Whip Gail Teixeira that talks have discontinued between the government and the opposition. Harmon noted that at no point were talks ever discontinued. He said in a statement, and I quote, Talks were never broken off. Both sides have been in touch since the last meeting, and as we speak, arrangements are being made to have an engagement between the president and the leader of the opposition, and this should take place very soon. End quote. From July 4 to date, there have been 4 meetings between the representatives of the president and the leader of the opposition with the view of hammering out the list of names submitted by both parties. There have also been 2 meetings between President David Granger and the opposition leader Barry Jagdeo during that time on July 4 and July 16, 2019. President David Granger and opposition leader Barry Jagdeo may have to come to a compromise for the common good of the country as they move to select a new chairperson for the Ghana Elections Commission, says political commentator and analyst Dr. Henry Jeffrey. Here is that exclusive story. Political compromise is difficult in any democracy, even though no one doubts it is necessary. It is difficult for many reasons, including the increase in political division that has been widely criticized. This is according to Dr. Henry Jeffrey. Dr. Jeffrey told Globespan 24x7 News in an exclusive interview via telephone that Ghana's 2 main leaders will have to exercise some level of compromise, especially when it comes to the process to select a new GCOM chairperson.
They are the one that the court call upon to resolve it. I mean, it's a political issue. The court made it quite clear. There's a political issue, and as I said in my article this morning, that is their job. Their job is to do politics, try to compromise and come to some decision. The most important decision right now is to find a chairman for GCOM.
In the meantime, there seems to be some issues brewing over whose candidate will make the final list, as the president feels that his suggestions should be taken seriously. But Jagdeo has also stated clearly too that while he gave the president the opportunity to suggest possible candidates, he is in no way compelled to select any of them. And his statement is backed by law, which states that the opposition leader has to submit the names of the nominees and the president decides on the person for the post of GCOM chair.
All they need to do is find one person that the 2 of them have some sort of faith in. Nobody can get all they want. Nobody will be able in a context like this to get a person that they want, so to speak. But you have to compromise and try to get somebody that is that is relatively independent to move the process forward. It's one person they want, not 100.
He described the issues raised by the government over the suggestion of names as fluff, and that alone is clouding the entire process.
This is not a big issue, but they obviously, both of them seem to want to have a person that they get 100% faith in. That ain't gonna happen. I mean, it's like any trade union negotiation.
Yeah.
Huh? If you want, you choose one, I choose one, and we sit down and try to find a person that we got some faith in. I can't allow you to choose somebody that you got 100% faith in, and I got none.
For Globespan 24x7 News, I'm Samuel Suknandon. Representatives from the 90 local government organs across Guyana were earlier today encouraged to take full responsibility and desist from the practice of throwing blame on the central government for hindering development. Kellon Rover has that story.
We are aware of the now heightened practice of local leaders to remove themselves by shifting blame to central government for quote-unquote hindering development through failing to provide adequate funding. I wish to make it clear, the system of local government is not dependent on the generosity of central government. Local organs are empowered.
Minister Ronald Bulkan said while his ministry has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to fixing the system of local governance, empowerment can only result in improvement if there is ownership.
It is for you, local leaders, to demonstrate to your constituents through your work the importance of this system. Article 74(1) of the Constitution places duty to manage and develop communities on local democratic organs. And this was articulated by His Excellency in his remarks. Quite citizens have grown accustomed to looking to central government for everything, they should know that local councils, directly elected by them, share this tremendous responsibility in collaboration with the central government for the conditions under which they live. Mayors, deputy mayors, NDC chairs and vice chairs, councillors all. These are your roles, not central government. We are in a partnership, as the President said.
Minister Bulkan said that one of the major challenges which prevent the local organs from working effectively is the amount of revenues they collect on a daily basis to execute its responsibilities. Minister Bulkan pointed out that over $1.2 billion was allocated in this year's budget by central government to support the work of the local government organs.
We have significantly increased subvention to councils, and for the first time in 2019, undertook to pay stipends to the leadership and administration of all councils. True independence and financial sustainability, though, can only happen when councils wean themselves off of central government subventions and are able to garner their own revenue from within their areas.
The Communities Minister highlighted that because there has not been a revaluation exercise for the past 25 years, there has been some compromise in rates and taxes. However, he noted that actions will be taken to remedy the situation to assist the council in better managing their catchment areas.
The government has embarked on a process beginning with the signing of a contract valued $315 million for the provision of technical expertise to conduct mass property appraisals countrywide that will produce over an 18-month period up-to-date asset registers comprising lists of each property or vacant land with reliable current values. This information will be handed over. This information will be handed over to each council, who will use it as they see fit. There will be no dictation or direction from the central government as to how this information will be used.
For Globespan 24x7 News, I am Kellon Rover reporting.
Thanks, Kellon. Due to the steady increase in noise nuisance reports in Guyana, recommendations have been made to make it a requirement for bars and clubs to be soundproof before they are issued with a license. The details in this story.
The government said it is seriously considering this recommendation made by the Task Force for Noise Nuisance. Public Security Minister Kemraj Ramjatan made this remark today at the closing ceremony for a workshop that targeted police officials.
Of course, that will take some time because we know the peculiar nature of our conditions here.
The minister said his ministry continues to receive complaints from residents across the country, and it is government's intention to see it is properly addressed.
We have to deal with them in a variety of ways too, not only prosecution and conviction for the various provisions that make it a criminal offense. But we have to literally sometimes work as a task force utilizing other methods. And one such method is like to take the profit out of this illegality.
Ramjatan said stern measures should be taken to deregister and take away persons' licenses. He also suggested putting certain conditions in place where if licensees breach certain noise levels, their documents are taken away.
So you sometimes don't have to get all the witnesses lined up in a magistrate's court, and then you can have the lawyers come in and asking for an adjournment or a long adjournment being granted, and so on, and the frustrations that occurs with prosecutions and successful convictions.
The Guyana Police Force and the Environmental Protection Agency are the enforcement agencies for noise nuisance in Guyana. For Globespan 24x7 News, I'm Samuel Suknandan.
Officers who have completed several weeks of training in various areas were today encouraged by Assistant Commissioner of Police and the Force Training Officer Clifton Hickens to mirror what they have learned, which will be better enhance their professionalism. The details in this story.
Station Management, newly promoted subordinate officers course, special constable training course, and drilling instructors course were provided by the Guyana Police Force and benefited several police ranks which were selected from the 7 administrative divisions across Guyana.
It was for a pass mark of 50%. The subject areas that were touched on for the station management and the newly promoted subordinate officers course were all the core police topics. For example, crime, traffic, financial records, forensic science, station management, preparation of court cases, computer classes, ICIS, tourism policing, human rights, communication, ethics and law enforcement, leadership, disciplinary procedures, judges' rules, operational orders. And prior to us being on this course, we were not able or was in a position to prepare any operational orders to the force. But now, as graduates, we stand empowered to prepare and deliver any operational order for this force when the time comes in the near future.
That was Sergeant Lagner speaking of his achievements after participating in the program. Assistant Commissioner of Police and Force Training Officer Hickens said while the training was an intense one, its intention was to build better leaders within the Guyana Police Force. The training officers said that it is expected of the graduates to have a new behavior pattern after they would have returned to their various districts.
For the drill instructors, you are the enforcers of the policy guiding this force in terms of drills and discipline. You, having concluded the drill instructors courses, are considered leaders of tomorrow. That is also done so we can have it decentralized to all the division branches. So when we are maintaining discipline and we're building capacity as a Guyana police force, and not as per section or as per the divisions. We're doing it across the spectrum.
The senior officer emphasized that it is important for police officers to garner new skills and knowledge, especially since the world is becoming advanced.
If you want to reach the top, if you want to be a rounded policeman or woman, if you want to be a police that worth the name of the Guyana Police Force, and if you want to be a police that is prevailing on ethical behavior, you will have to go through these type of sacrifices. And I'm happy that you did. And I'm happy you had some time to blow some steam too.
Kellon Rover for Globespan 24x7 News.
Thanks, Kellon. President David Granger this morning reminded representatives from the 90 local government organs across Guyana that the government has made great strides in communities in the 10 administrative regions and will continue to invest to improve the lives of Guyanese. The head of state made this pronouncement at the opening of the two-day National Conference of Local Democratic Organs seminar held by the Ministry of the Presidency through the Ministry of Communities. We have more details in this report.
Addressing the gathering, Guyana's head of state said the second conference, organized by the government through the Ministry of Communities, marks the progress of revitalizing local government in Guyana. President Granger said that the regional democratic councils, the municipalities, and neighborhood democratic councils play a significant role in their various communities and noted that they must work for the betterment of their districts.
Local government was restored in its vibrant state in March 2016 after the uninterruption of almost 2 decades. A period when over 3 dozen agencies were suspended and replaced by interim management committees to never happen again under our administration.
The president pointed out that since 2015, there were 2 local government elections held over 2 decades. He said the aim is to better the life of citizens and to work according to the Constitution.
We have begun the process of enhancing the autonomy of local democratic organs. And this is the task of the trustee, the Minister Robert Brokan, which is being discharged effectively for over 4 years. I was sent on the 5th of August 2015 to the Local Government Amendment Act 2015, which had been passed in the 10th Parliament, but not assented to by the previous administration. Ministerial approval is no longer needed for local democratic council budgets, estimates of rates and expenditure, and to implement the revenue-generating measures. We hope eventually to wean local democratic organs off of financial dependence on central government.
Communities Minister Ronald Bulkan reiterated that local democracy is essential in the democratic organization, according to Guyana's constitutions. He underscored that it is the rights of residents to channel their concerns to these tiers of governing bodies, while adding that the local bodies are responsible for strengthening and uniting their communities.
The system of local government is now better positioned to deliver on its constitutional mandate. The time has now come for you, regional chairs and vice chairs, mayors and deputies, NDC chairpersons and vice chairpersons, councillors all, administrators, to rightfully seize ownership of this renewal process and to deliver. As leaders directly elected and not selected by a party, you are the rightful owners of this process.
This year's event was held under the theme, Advancing National Development through Empowered and Innovative Local Democratic Organs in a Green Economy. Reporting for Globespan 24x7 News, I am Kellon Rover.
Thanks, Kellon. We'll take a short break. After these messages, we'll have the regional and international news as well as sport.
We would like to ask all of our faithful viewers to kindly like and follow Globespan 24x7 Facebook page and subscribe to Globespan 24x7 YouTube channel to receive up-to-date notifications of when we are live. Globespan 24x7 has vacancies for full-time positions such as reporters, newscasters, and news editors. Persons serious about joining a new and dynamic news team are asked to send their application to careers@globespantechnology.com. Globespan 24x7 has some exciting news. As of August 10th, the social and community programs will move from Sundays at 12:30 a.m. to Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Don't miss it.
Welcome back. Let's take a look now at our regional and international news. Regionally, Canada made a contribution of Canadian $3 million to the government of Dominica to support the operations of the Climate Resilience Execution Agency of Dominica and help make Dominica's people, infrastructure, and systems more resilient to natural disasters. Dominica has expressed its ambition to become the world's first climate resilient nation. Canada has embraced this ambition, supported the drafting of Dominica's Climate Resilient Act and created an institution to serve the interests of the nation of the Commonwealth of Dominica as a whole. Canada is also supporting the development of Dominica's Climate Resilience and Recovery Plan, which will define Dominica's priorities for the next 15 years. The funding will allow the program to support the delivery of Dominica's priority reconstruction and recovery projects following Hurricane Maria. It will also help develop gender-sensitive disaster response and recovery systems so Dominica is more prepared to face future natural disasters. This is the final initiative funded under Canada's $100 million pledge to support reconstruction and climate resilient efforts in the Caribbean region. Internationally, the U.S. federal government is to resume executing death row inmates after nearly 2 decades without an execution. Attorney General William Barr directed the Bureau of prisons to schedule for December 2019 and January of 2020 the executions of 5 inmates convicted of murder and other crimes. Barr said in a statement that the 5 had been convicted of murders, rape of children and elderly. According to Barr, and I quote, "The Justice Department upholds the rule of law, and we owe it to the victims and their families to carry forward the sentence imposed by our justice system." End quote. Presently, 62 inmates are on federal death row. However, the last federal execution was in 2003. The death penalty was outlawed at state and federal level by a 1972 Supreme Court decision, but reinstated in 1988. According to data collected by the Death Penalty Information Center, 78 people were sentenced to death between 1988 and 2018. And now for a look at sport. Tokyo has published an overview of ITS countermeasures that is being taken to minimize the risk of heat on athletes and spectators at next year's Olympic and Paralympic Games. Concerns of heat rise last year after Japan suffered a record heat wave with temperature reaching 41.1 degrees Celsius, raising concerns that similar conditions in 2020 could disrupt the Games. At least 96 people have died from heat stroke across Tokyo's last July. The Olympics in the Japanese capital are due to take place from July 24 to August 6. The International Olympic Committee, IOC, and Tokyo 2020 have made countermeasures a priority area, with working groups having been established to assess situations. The Suzai Coverdence Sports Ground was declared open on Sunday after investing many hours of community labor and resources for 4 years. Councillors and members of the Suzai to Coverdence Neighborhood Democratic Council, NDC, celebrated their hard work as the ground was opened to the public. The opening ceremony was held at Latchman Sand Road, Suzai, on the east bank of Demerara, where NDC Chairman Wilpindra Duki delivered remarks and unveiled the plaque to commemorate the opening. According to reports, the plot of land, then privately owned, was being pursued since 2016, and the council's team was making efforts to acquire the 3.5 acres by purchase, since the NDC had no legal authority over it. However, it was disclosed that acquisition cost approximately $10 million, with more spent on land preparation. But some of these expenses were absorbed by collaborative business owners. The ground would bring economic benefits to the community through sports tournaments. However, it is a collaborative effort of private-public partnership to keep the youths occupied while developing sports skills. And that has brought us to the end of today's news. Before we go, here's a recap of our major headlines. President and opposition leader likely to meet tomorrow. Political compromise, necessary for selection of GCOM chair. PPP maintains house-to-house registration is illegal. Bars and clubs to be targeted in noise nuisance campaign. And Bulkan tells local organs don't blame central government for hindering development. Thank you for watching Globespan 24x7 News. On behalf of myself, Samuel Suknandan, the news and technical team, until next time, do have a great evening. Goodbye for now.